Hello and welcome to All Indians Matter. I am Ashraf Engineer. Every year, more than 6 lakh workers from the Marathwada region of Maharashtra migrate to the sugarcane growing regions of the state and neighboring Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh for 6 months, from October to March, to cut sugarcane. Shockingly, till recently, this migration was not even a part of government records, and the workers were deprived of all development schemes. Social security was nowhere on the horizon. Maharashtra is the second largest sugar producing state in India after Uttar Pradesh, with 1.6 million farmers cultivating sugarcane on zero point 0.7 million hectares. The working and living conditions of the migrant workers are abysmal, and as always, it's the children who suffer the most. With no one to look after them at home, they are taken along by their parents to the fields. They are taken out of school. They miss 6 months of the academic year, and as a result, their learning outcomes are next to zero. This has a long term effect on their earning prospects, social progress, and even health. Such is the situation that after the migration, teachers outnumber students in many village schools. All this was depicted in a landmark Marathi short film named Prashna, which means question. Prashna released in 2020 and was recently showcased at the Zero Plus International Film Festival in Tiumen, Siberia, where it won several accolades.
All Indians matter.
We have on the show Santosh Ram, the director of Prashna. Prashna is inspired by a true event that molded his religious, social, and political ideology while growing up. Prashna was shortlisted for the Filmfare Short Film Award in 2020 and 18 film festivals. It won 16 awards in all. Santosh's filmography includes also Vartul, which means circle in 2009, and Gully, which means the lane in 2015. Santosh developed an appreciation for cinema while studying literature, and he went on to become part of the film appreciation course conducted by the National Film Archive of India in collaboration with the Film and Television Institute of India in 2006. Vartul, Santosh's debut short film, traveled to 56 film festivals across the world, winning 13 awards. Gully was selected for 12 festivals. Santosh, welcome.
Hello, Ashraf.
Santosh, why do workers migrate from Marathwada for such a prolonged period every year?
Marathwada region, which is having a rainy season that is very short, and we don't have these irrigated lands. So most of the times, what happens? These people, like in Bid district, they are having this tradition, or what you can say, that it is a employment search, that it takes them to this migration, and they usually go for 6 or more than 6 months to sugar cutting fields. For they work there as a sugar cutting laborer, so they migrate for this sugar cutting work, and this is a big time, I think. So this type of migration happens in this time.
Yeah. Is it the case that these workers are from marginalized communities or it's everybody?
No, it's like when I was doing research or when I was shooting, I just met some people who has got more than 10 to 20 acres of land, and they are not from any marginalized community, but it's like you get paid well. It's like I have found each and every caste person in that group. So it's not like there are only migrated, but most of the people are from Banjara community, that I want to tell you.
Right. So they're the nomadic people, as
Yeah,
Banjara means nomads, doesn't it? Right.
nomads, nomads.
And do both husband and wife take up this work, and is it done through formalized contracts or informally through middlemen? And if it's the latter, what does it mean for the workers in terms of pay and rights?
This is a work for both husband and wife. And what happens if husband and wife both together work? They are paid really well. They are paid like 1 lakh. There is a term called half sickle and full sickle. Half sickle is something that is of 50,000, and full sickle is around 1 lakh, or it can be more than that. But what happens in this thing? They have mostly a middleman that is called contractor, or in our Marathi language, it is called guttedar. So the whole village, he collects them, and he takes some advance from the sugarcane factory of that region, or from the village, what you call that, farmers. And then it's like, it has got middlemen, and it has got what you call that money exploitation, work exploitation, every kind of exploitation happens there. And it's like, there is nothing like formal thing, means there is no contract or anything like that. It's just whatever we speak, it's a word of mouth, you can say. So there is nothing like legal.
Yeah, it's a familiar story actually across the country. But Santosh, I wanted to ask you specifically about the migrant workers as children. Where do they stay while their parents are working in the fields?
Actually, it's a very bad condition. What happens? Childrens, they can't put it in their village, and old people, means like senior citizens. They are the only people in their villages. And if there is no one to take care of them, then the children go along with their parents. Most of the times, what happens? The children's are there, and they sometimes work. They sometimes really work with their parents, and sometimes they take care of their younger brothers, sisters. So there is nothing like, there is nobody is there to take care of them. And mother and father, they usually they are tired, and they just work for the whole day, and they have some work, so they can't take care of their children, and they themselves take care of themselves and then the younger ones.
But what about their safety? I'm talking especially of the girl children here. I'm asking because I read often that they are exploited by the labor contractors or the guttedars that you mentioned. I think they're
Yeah,
also
yeah,
called
yeah,
mukatabs.
definitely. There is, this kind of, there is nothing like safety or anything like that. Ashraf, it's very pity that after 75, 50 years of our independence, we don't have anything like, there are no laws. They are on the paper only. Nobody takes care of such things. And what happens, some contractors, even some landlords, or, farmers, they exploit these children, especially girl child, and even women. They are exploited in this work. I don't think there is anything like safety or anything like that, or there is nothing. They stay in this very rowdy kind of thing. They have very small rowdies. They stay outside the village and near the farm, so they don't have these lights and everything. They just have this small lamp. They make the food and then again go to the farms, and then in the night also for loading they have to go. So sometimes, if the children are there, and the adult girls are there, then there are many chances of exploitation.
Describe the living conditions of the workers. Is it pakka housing or do they stay out in the open? What about sanitation
Mm.
facilities?
No, no, no. There is nothing like bakka housing condition or anything like. They stay in open fields, and they are like, in the routies. We have what you call tent, small cloth tents they have. So they stay in that, and there is no anything like sanitization or anything like that. They usually go to the toilet, and for all these things they have to go in open, because I have seen that. I have personally seen that there is nothing like to take care of. There is nothing like.
And it must be even worse for the women, other than what you said that there's no access to sanitation. I read that some of them even give birth on the farm itself.
Yeah, there is one more thing I haven't, in my film, I have given importance to education. There is this sugar cutting laborer family, and they have a child. So I have shown that problem. But along with that, there are two more topics I have just touched, that is marriage system. And then the third thing is, I think, the overall education system and the woman empowerment and all that thing. But as you mentioned just now, the thing is that they remove their what you call that, हमारे यहाँ उसको बोलते हैं, जो बच्चीदानी बोलते हैं, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, जो जिसमें माँ के पेट में रहती है, उसको निकाल देते हैं। इस तरीके की बहुत सी केसेस ये शुगर कटिंग लेबरर के, स्पेशली वुमन के बारे में ऑब्जर्व की गई है। और इट्स लाइक वॉर। यू नो in the war, you don't worry about the soldier, just go and shoot, 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 you just kill. It's like go and work. There is nothing like you just take care of your children. You are not there to take care of the things. And of course, whatever you mentioned, there is nobody to take care, so they sometimes give birth to children openly. and in the fields. So it's not a big deal for them, especially for us educated people. That's a different kind of thing, and it's a very big thing. But they have to do that, and it's worst condition. And there are a lot of organizations working for such things, but they are on paper only. They are not at all going to the field. They just show it that we visited there and we did this kind of thing, we did this kind of service, but it never happens. When I was shooting, I just found a very shocking incident. There was this small girl who was playing there, and she just drawn into a small, what you call that, animal, जहाँ पे पानी पीने के लिए आते हैं, छोटा सा एक हौद बनाया था, वहां पे वो लड़की गिर के उसका डेथ हो गया। तो इतनी सी छोटी बात है, वो ज्यादातर वो उतना बड़ा नहीं रहता है, वो अपने घुटने तक का उसका हाइट रहता है, उसमें एक बच्ची गिर के उसकी जान चली जाती है। तो दैट इज वेरी शॉकिंग। तो ये सब usually it happens. So women health care is always neglected in India, because हमारे देश में जो पुरुष प्रधान संस्कृति है, उसमें पुरुष ने अपना सब कंट्रोल रख दिया, अपनी खुद की जमा ली, and what we say, we almost women are neglected in each and every part of life, and especially in laborers, they have very less education and very small literacy. So this is obvious that women are facing so many problems there.
Yeah, it's tragic actually. And I want to come back to the term you mentioned earlier, Arda Koita or half sickle. What does it mean and what are its social implications?
Half sickle means Ardha Koita. He is single person who is working there. That can be a girl child, that can be a widow person, or that can be a male child. There is no thing like that. But a single person who works there, that is called half sickle. That is Ardha Koita. If they are couple, means if there is a couple, means Naura Baiko in Marathi, and husband and wife, they work, then that is called full sickle. So what happens in making of that full sickle, or in earning, they have this what you call greed or something like that. So after, when they go to their villages, they search for small or young girls. And some of the times I have seen that only 15 years young man is married to a 13-year-old girl, sometimes 14 years old girl, only because they get good money. So they get married to their children, and this happens now. If you properly research for the things, then you will come to know this kind of cases.
During the course of your research and filming, what did the teachers you spoke to have to say about students going missing for 6 months of the year? We said earlier that the children are taken along by the migrant workers and they miss school for half a year.
It's a very different and critical thing for teachers. Our government really, what you call, they pressurize the teachers to ask and bring the students. Nowadays it is worst situation, only because there are two things. One thing is there that mostly the government schools, they are empty. And the second thing is, if that is a private school, then some private institution founder or some family of that institution, they just take away that child, and then they give some money or they bribe something to their parents, and they ask him to stay there. But when I was doing research, I'll just tell you, I'll mention this story, that when I was researching, I saw a school in Gevrai Taluka in Bid district. There were three teachers and two children were in the school. The whole school was empty, means around some whatever 100 students, or maybe more than that, or there can be less than that, and they were absent for that. And when I asked them what will happen, and when the children will come back, they told me that after 6 months they will come back, and there will be a proper ring bell, and then this, what you call that, our national anthem, and everything will start from there. Oh, I was really very shocked. This kind of education is happening in our country after 75 years. Can you imagine this way our people are living?
Unimaginable. So, three teachers and two students. It would have been funny if it wasn't such a tragic situation.
Yeah, yeah, that is the incident I have started the film with. The beginning of the film is that a teacher asks to sing this anthem, and I have just shown only three students, and there are two teachers. So this is in a way funny thing, but it's a very different thing. These kind of students miss a lot of things. So even I just want to mention one thing, that teachers get frustrated with their parents. you know they are not getting the students, and they force their children to go away from the school. So the teachers get frustrated, especially they are frustrated, and they just get angry about their mothers. They always shout at them, because most of the times what happens, they think that these mothers are not giving importance to education.
And in fact, that's you depicted that also in the film. I remember that.
And this is a kind of circle. The government is asking them to bring the children, then the teachers are shouting, वो अपने उन लोगों के पेरेंट्स पे चिल्ला रहे हैं, और फिर पेरेंट्स वो बच्चों को लेके जा रहे हैं. इट्स लाइक इट्स काइंड ऑफ सर्कल अगेन. पॉवर्टी और इसमें के बीच में ये सब चालू है. इट्स वर्स्ट.
The dropout rate must be high, but is it worse for girl children?
Yeah, it's worst. Really, it's worst. Most of the times, already education, in taluka level and district level, you can see the importance of education for especially girl children. But still, I'm telling you, still it is not given importance. What we say nowadays, आप पढ़ के क्या कोई नौकरी ज्वाइन करने वाले हो क्या? आपको क्या कलेक्टर की नौकरी लगने वाली है क्या पढ़ने के बाद? या फिर आपको क्या बोलते हैं, तहसीलदार बनोगे क्या? दिस काइंड ऑफ टॉन्टिंग यूजुअली हैपेंस. ये लड़की पढ़ के क्या करेगी? जाके गोबर तो उठाने का है, या स्पेशली अपने चूल्हा गरम करने का है. सो दिस काइंड ऑफ थिंग्स, आवर मेंटालिटी इज देयर इन द विलेजेस. सो मोस्टली ड्रॉप आउट्स आर again girl childs, and what you call, girls are suffering a lot in that case. And that is again the most important storyline of my film.
Yeah. And does this poverty also mean more underage marriages for girls?
Yeah, poverty means in each and every sense it is like, एक तो जिस तरीके से उनका मैरिज हो जाता है वो पॉवर्टी है. दूसरा बात यह है कि अगेन पॉवर्टी ऑफ मेंटेलिटी, व्हाट यू कॉल दैट. उनको पता ही नहीं है कि जिस तरीके से हमें, अगर हमारी गर्ल चाइल्ड पढ़ी नहीं किया, कुछ किसी तरीके से इसने प्रोग्रेस नहीं किया, तो ये पूरा उसका घर जो है आगे वाला, उसका कुछ होने वाला नहीं है. इस तरीके का वो थॉट ही नहीं है. जस्ट गेट मैरिड योर डॉटर एंड जस्ट फाइंड अ सुटेबल गाय. एंड इवन द जो ग्रूम है उसका फैमिली भी यही सोचता है कि एक लड़की आ गई तो चलो एक 50,000 का इनकम थोड़ा ज्यादा बढ़ गया. यही चालू है, यही चालू है. दिस इज द थिंग.
Let's talk about the film Prashna. Did a personal experience inspired you to make the film?
Actually, yeah, I can say that when my grandmother, she was illiterate woman, and when I asked her, where is Vittal, means Pandurang, she tells me that he is in Pandarpur. So I asked her, how do you know that? Because he stays in Pandarpur, or where is his temple? How do you know that? She told me that we have heard it, and many people told her. So some of the times I asked her, what is the color of buffalo? She told me this is black. So I said, how come again you know all these things? So she told me, I heard it. जब मुझे पता नहीं था तो मैंने पूछा ये किसी से. It's like question and answer. We have this oral history of passing knowledge from one person to another. So that was the thing. In our theater also we have this technique. So I thought, a woman who is illiterate, how she gets her son's education done, and how she makes progress in asking him questions, and she herself gains a lot of answers and knowledge from that. So that was the basic idea, and I tried to explore that in the film.
The film follows a particular mother and her wish to make sure her son gets an education. And it ends with her looking at her son's textbook while he is asleep. And the message is clear. She was deprived of an education while she was a girl, like so many others. Talk about that scene to us.
That is the scene of the, what you call that, that is a core scene. Yeah, that is the highlight of the film. you know there, if someone watches the film there, I just turn film in other direction. That is the woman, first time she attracts or she tries to get that book, and means her attention goes to that book. And whenever she is a pass out, fourth class pass out or third class pass out, means third class, that is not the thing, but she wants to learn now, she wants to read now. So the son, means son wants to teach her. And there this film on the very positive note ends. That is the open ending I have kept, that the audience should think about that. And when the son teaches her, it's like in Marathi, हमारे यहाँ शी बोले तो शीला पहिला खाना, व बोले तो शिवाजी बोले तो शी पहिला खाना, एंड व को अगेन खाना, एंड जला दूसरी वाला आंटी बोले तो शिवाजी. This kind of reading he tries to teach her. And here onwards the journey starts, I have shown in that scene. So that's a very 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 important scene.
Yeah, it was a deeply touching scene, but for me, the most poignant scene, however, is the one in which an underage girl is presented to a prospective groom and she's asked to sing. She chooses to sing about the travails of the sugarcane workers. She sings about her father's torn clothes and the fact that he can't afford even one new pair, and so he keeps darning the old ones. She sings about their hard life and the despair engulfing it. Is this an actual song sung in the villages, and what went through your mind as you were filming it? Lastly, is this the scene that impacts audiences the most?
Yeah, I think, I tried to bring the whole life in front of the audience from that song. you know in our villages nowadays also, a girl, what she does, when someone asks what she does, she can make food, she can sew the clothes, and she can, what you call, she can do house choir and everything like that. But she is very beautiful. So what is the measurements of beauty for them? She is very fair, and she has got long hair, very beautiful braid, hair braid. And then she sings very well. So they ask her to sing a song. So that never matters where she's going to sing. I don't know. That is a very big question for me. But they ask her to sing. I think they just want to see whether the girl speaks good or she is not. What you call that? She can speak. She is proper. I think they want to वो क्या बोलते हैं उसको, मुंह से मुक्की, या क्या बोलते हैं मराठी में, हम उसको बोलते हैं
Stammering,
उसको. हाँ
stammering नहीं
हाँ,
करती.
स्टैमरिंग नहीं है, या ये भी एक उसका चक्कर होता होगा. लेकिन वो उसको बोलते हैं सिंग, उसको सिंग करने को बोलते हैं. एंड इवन दे आस्क हर टू वॉक, बिकॉज उसके पैर में कहीं वो लंगड़ाती है या कुछ है, तो वो उसको इस तरीके से देखते हैं. So the girl sings the. She is asked to sing. Now the girl wants to show the plight of her husband. Again there the question
Her
comes of
father, you mean?
हाँ हाँ, dowry. So dowry से बचने के लिए कुछ चाहिए ना. तो लड़की वो सोचती है कि बाबा मैं मेरे पिताजी का कंडीशन कैसे बोलूं, जो सॉन्ग में भी आए, जो सिंगिंग भी हो जाए और कंडीशन भी आ जाए. तो दिस वे बर्ड, व्हाट यू कॉल, उसको बोलते हैं एक पत्थर में दो शिकार, जैसा वो लड़कियों के लिए भी होता है. तो दिस वे द शी सिंग्स द कंडीशन ऑफ टोटल laborers and total sugar cutting laborers things. So I think that again is very important and very crucial scene, and it impacts a lot, and that is, and the words she chooses, she selects for the song is really very important. And most of the times when we are sad, or when we are very really very happy, or somewhere when we are उसको बोलते हैं ना मन का खाली होना, उसको खाली करना है, तो जिस तरीके से, तो उस तरीके से गांव में औरतें या ओल्ड पीपल इवन दे सिंग. सो दिस वे शी tries to convey this condition of her home to the would-be bride.
Is this an actual song sung in villages, or is this something that you wrote or had written
No, no,
specifically for the film?
I got it actually. This is a song written by my actor who sang that, and she is of Banjara community. That is, her name is Pooja Rathod. In my film, all the actors they are newcomers. I asked them a very interesting exercise I did that. I asked them to rehearse with me for 2 days, and I asked them to directly jump into the fields and directly start cutting the sugar cane with all the laborers and mix up in such a way that they should look like laborers. I never allowed them to take bath for 4 5 days, and then you know this mother and child you see in the film, and they are actually mother and child in real life,
Oh,
and
is it?
even
Oh, okay.
uh, that is a lady from Latur. Her name is Anjali Jadhav, and her son's name is Ganesh Jadhav. So again, and there, this would be groom showing function scene is there. There also, this girl is Pooja Rathod, and her father is Rathod Sahib, what I call him. So these are a real father and daughter, and mother and son kind of pairs in my film, and most of them haven't acted in any film before this. So again, a director, it's a total command of director, and if he fails, then there is a risk. If he fails, then people or the producer may say, oh, you don't know direction or you don't know filmmaking. But again, what happens, if a big filmmaker like Amir Khan or anybody does that, then it's appreciation. But a filmmaker like me does it, then oh, it's a very big risk he has taken. He shouldn't taken this kind of risk. They usually tell.
This is the perfect time to segue to my other question. How tough is it to make a socially relevant film, and how tough is it to ensure that people see it?
you know Nowadays everything in the game of the filmmaking has changed a lot. We are a lot confused, especially Indian film industry, and especially regional film industry. We are directly compared with Hollywood, with this Netflix and Amazon and everything. It is suddenly in your hands, in your mobiles. So we are directly compared with Hollywood and these European films. And the worst thing I say that socially relevant films, very few people want to watch. Most of the times, I just get the demand from these IT people and very well educated people. They say, always tell me that, oh, we like to watch this kind of meaningful cinema. All the educated men, mostly 80% of them, they tell me that, oh, we want to watch this kind of socially relevant cinema. We are not interested in dance and drama, this kind of thing. Again, there are some of them are interested, and they watch both types of films. So I can say it's very tough to make this kind of films, and it's very tough to reach out to the audience. It's very difficult to get your target audience for such kind of films. But thank God, with such normal, OTT platforms, small OTT platforms, or nowadays you can have your link, and if someone pays you 50 rupees or 100 rupees, you can personally send him the link. And this way some of the filmmakers are recovering their money. I can see in Marathi, Malayalam, and Tamil films. I have traveled all over India. My films have traveled to 110 film festivals, and it has won around 35 awards. But I watch a lot of films. Even I worked for Chennai short and documentary film festival as a jury, and now recently, some 4 days back, I worked as a selection committee for this 27th Madurai International Film Festival. International films I selected, some 22 films I selected. So what I see, you know these small films are really coming up with unique ideas and very interesting concepts. And there is a lot of things I can say that the audience can explore, and they can find very different type of making and exploring So I think there is risk, but again I can say that even श्याम बेनेगल साहब was एक समय में ऐसा होता था, उनको भी कभी क्वेश्चन किया, लेकिन उन्होंने भी कभी मीनिंगफुल सिनेमा से स्टार्ट किया, या फिर अपने जो लीजेंड हैं सत्यजीत रे साहब, उन्होंने भी इस तरीके से, समटाइम्स यू डोंट लुक एट द assurance kind of thing, or you cannot look at the safety point of thing. As a writer, what I look at is that I want to tell it, and I want to bring out to some such questions to the society. It's my duty to bring out some such issues to in front of the audience, and to keep some things in front of them. So that is quite interesting for me.
No, this is wonderfully put, Santosh. And I always say that as human beings, we always have this urge to consume stories, but we also have the urge to tell stories. I think that's exactly what you said right now. So, which brings me to the speaking about the urge to tell a story, which brings me to your background. So, tell us about your background, especially your childhood, and how does that affect the way you see the world?
My background is very normal. It's like a middle class background upbringing. I was born in Udgir, near Udgir. There is a place called Zavalga. That is called Zavalga. So I was born there. My father was a teacher in a school, government school, and I was a very silent or very introvert kind of child. I was a backbencher, and I had this inferiority complex always. It was very difficult for me to express my things and my ideas in front of my teachers or anyone. So I chose to start dreaming, and then getting lost in my own ideas, and then started looking at the things from very different point of view. So that was interesting part. But later I thought that I should jump into writing, and because of that upbringing, I have some very small, what you call that, very small type of or very keen observation for my society, especially in Marathwada region. So it's like, exploring the things again and again, and just looking at the things and how it can be done, and what way how it should be done. So this was there. And most important, I always think that I wanted to express myself. That was the first and most important thing for me. If I keep a thing for a long time in my mind, or something is again, then it is like cathartic release for me. Writing a story or bringing it in front of the audience, that is a cathartic release. You want to weep a lot, but you can't weep, then so suddenly you start weeping, and then it is a kind of release thing. So this way I did this literature, graduation in English literature, then masters in English literature. I tried to get into films, but again I was not having any filmy background. So the front doors were closed. So I started making, when I came to Pune, and there was this K.S. Shashidharan Sahab in Film Archives of India. So he asked me, "Do you know John Abraham?" I said, "Yes, I have just watched his gist." So he just looked at me, and he said, "That is not the John Abraham, filmmaker John Abraham. There is a filmmaker called John Abraham in Kerala, and he makes very great films." So this kind of I'm a 90s guy, 94 Doordarshan. You remember that kind of era, that time.
Absolutely, yeah.
We used to watch this meaningful cinema in Indian panorama. What you that दूरदर्शन में एक रात में 11 बजे फिल्म दिखाई जाती थी, जिसमें हम लोग ये ऐसी मीनिंगफुल निशांत देखते थे, अंकुर देखते थे, या कुछ अमोल पालेकर साहब की कुछ फिल्में देखते थे, बासु
That's
चैटर्जी
right.
की, या इवन बंगाली फिल्म मेकर्स वेर वेरी, जिस तरीके से पॉपुलर थे, इस तरीके उसमें मैं पला बड़ा हूँ। जिस तरीके से कुछ चीजें नहीं मिली, इसलिए शायद मैं इस तरीके से फिल्म बनाता हूँ कुछ। If I don't have any philosophy, then what is the point in making films or writing? I think if I don't have anything to tell, then what is the point? So I have
Absolutely.
a lot of things to tell. I really just go and meet people. I nowadays I'm not that introvert because of this medium I jumped into. So I usually go and meet and talk to the people and I explore that. So that is again a very different thing. That's why I am into filmmaking, and I enjoy that. And I think this makes me complete. Without this, I don't know what I would have done, or I think I would have labeled as ये तो कुछ करता ही नहीं, ये नाकारा है, कुछ करता नहीं, इस तरीके से भी मुझे बोला जा सकता था। लेकिन मैं फिल्म मेकिंग में हूँ, थैंक गॉड। और कुछ सक्सेस छोटा छोटा मिल रहा है लोगों को मेरा जो अप्रिसिएशन, जिस तरीके से फिल्में अप्रिशिएट हो रही। अभी रिसेंटली जो मैं रशिया गया था, तो रशिया में आई इट्स लाइक, जब हम अपनी फ़िल्म यहाँ दिखाते हैं तो शायद कुछ लोगों को उसके बारे में अलग लगता हो, या कुछ उनको लगता हो ये फ़िल्म क्या देखना है यार, ये तो शुगर कटिंग लेबरर्स के बारे में है और एक मदर और चाइल्ड के एजुकेशन के बारे में है। लेकिन जब मैं रशिया में गया और एक फ़िल्म दिखाई गई और इतने सारे लोगों ने फ़िल्म देखी, और फ़िल्म देखने के बाद आई एम रियली सरप्राइज़्ड कि मेरे साथ भी कोई फ़ोटो खींचा सकता है। मेरे साथ इतनी औरतों ने फोटो खिंचा लिया, मैं बोलता हूँ इट्स लाइक, मुझे ऐसा एक सेकंड में ऐसा लगा कि ये घर में जाके अपने बच्चों को दिखाएंगी तो नहीं कि देखो ये इंडियन ऐसा होता है। हाँ? इस तरीके से मुझे एक एक थॉट आया और मैं बोला यार इतना भी पॉपुलर हो सकता है फिल्म, इतनी भी एक किसी को लाइक हो सकती है कि जिस तरीके से किसी एक स्टार को जो एक जो मिलता है ना, उस तरीके से एक रिसेप्शन मुझे मिल रहा है। तो आई वाज शॉक्ड कि मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगा कि मेरी फ़िल्म वहाँ दिखाई गई, और मैं खुद का नॉलेज आई कुड जस्ट कंपेयर। जो एक रहता है ना मन में कि इन्फेरिटी कॉम्प्लेक्स की, जैसे यार मैं इधर इंडिया के लिए फ़िल्म बना रहा हूँ, बाहर वाले समझेंगे कि नहीं? दिस काइंड ऑफ मेंटालिटी आई थिंक दैट इज़ now disappeared, and I'm now like I'm very confident, and I'm really, I can take my films further to some again some level, and then I can travel my films with the whole world. I think that is the best thing.
Gee, and I fully agree. I don't see why other people will not connect with our stories. Ultimately, they're human stories. जब हम उनकी स्टोरीज के साथ कनेक्ट कर सकते हैं बिकॉज दे आर ह्यूमन स्टोरीज, तो वो भी हमारी फिल्म्स के साथ कनेक्ट करेंगे बिकॉज दे आर
Correct,
ह्यूमन
both.
स्टोरीज. एंड जस्ट कमिंग बैक टू व्हाट यू सेड अबाउट feeling like a star because so many people wanted to take their photographs with you, and especially the women. I'm sure you enjoyed that part quite a bit. But I mean, jokes apart, if somebody tells you a good story, then that impacts you at a human level, at an emotional level. And obviously then you feel some connection to it, and you feel as if I understand this story, or it's talking to me at some level, at a personal level, and therefore I really, really love what is being said. So I'm not surprised that people wanted to come and meet with you and take their photographs with you, something to remember you by. So here's my next question: what's next for you? What are you planning next?
Actually, I have done a film called The Story of Yuvraj and Shahjahan. It's a small short film, and again I'm doing a film called China Mobile, a feature film. That is again shows the plight of adolescent child in my region. So again, how the politicians, means local politicians, using them, and how they are leading their life, looking at someone who is very what you call that चमचमाती लाइफ को देख के कैसे जो हमारे एडोलसेंट विलेज या सेमी टाउन के बच्चे हैं किस तरीके से अपना फ्यूचर डिस्ट्रॉय कर रहे हैं, या टेक्नोलॉजी उनके ऊपर कैसे हावी हो रही है, उसके बारे में मेरी नई फीचर फिल्म है जो मैं मेरी डेब्यू फिल्म होगी वो मैं बना रहा हूँ। एंड आई हैव जस्ट फिनिश्ड, एज आई मेंशनड नाउ, have just finished the story of Yuvraj and Shahjahan. That is again, I tried to explore the relationship of two young men in rural Maharashtra, in the backdrop of a lot of things it's happening. So I tried to explore that, and I think within 1 month it will come out. And I think you have to wait for that. It's a very good film.
I will wait for that. So here's a question, Santosh, I ask all my guests at the end of the show. Why do you do this work?
You know, in 22 years, means I came to Pune in 2000. And I am in Pune around 18 years. I was there for some 4 years in Mumbai. I was struggling to make films. So I studied and I'm jumping in, I just trying to make films. So I always feel that I wanted to do something very different. But what different you have if you don't have in your personality? So I just mentioned in earlier questions that I was having this inferiority complex. I come from very vernacular place or vernacular region. That is the thing. So I was having this, you know, मैंने कभी सोचा ही नहीं था कि मैं ये इतने बड़े मेट्रो में कैसे जी पाऊंगा, क्योंकि इतने अलग लाइफस्टाइल, एक चमचमाती दुनिया है. तो आई वांटेड टू टेल माय रीजन स्टोरीज, जिनकी मेरे जैसी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, छोटी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, उनकी स्टोरीज मैं बोलना शुरू. इसलिए मैं मैं ज़्यादा कुछ कमा नहीं पाता हूँ इनमें से, या कुछ मेरा रोज़ी गुज़ारा चलता है. जैसे अपना गाँव में कोई रहता है ना, जो गाते रहता है, गाने का उसका काम है, पता नहीं उसको कितना मिलता है. या जिस आज की कंडीशन में अगर पूछें तो, यार भाई तूने 4 महीने का राशन जमा कर लिया है क्या? तो मैं कहूँगा नहीं यार, राशन के लिए तो भागना ही है. So this way, I can say that what I earn that never matters. But what matters a lot for me is that I can express the things, I can bring out some issues, and I can keep in front of some questions in front of the audience, very sensible people. And I वो मैं आपको एक पिक्चर दिखाना चाहता हूँ. जो मैं पिक्चर दिखा रहा हूँ वो शायद आपको समझ में आए. दैट इज माय विश, आई थिंक. एंड मैं आपको एक पिक्चर दिखा रहा हूँ और आप कुछ उसका गलत अर्थ निकाल रहे हैं या कुछ और अलग सोच रहे हैं, तो आई थिंक दैट इज माय फेलियर. सो आई जस्ट वांट टू कम्युनिकेट, आई जस्ट वांट टू टेल माय स्टोरीज. एंड while telling my stories, I just want to communicate, I want to talk to the audience with my film. So that is why I make films. I am making this work. I just want to tell the stories from the root, from the people they never mentioned in our literature. This kind of people, they never mentioned in literature or anything like that. I want to tell such things, stories, some very different kind of mentality I want to show. So I think that is what I'm cut for. So I'm doing this.
I just want to communicate. I just want to tell my stories. Santosh, wonderfully put. And Santosh, thank you for a truly great film and for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you, Ashraf. Thank you for inviting me for this wonderful talk. And I want our audience, I want to tell my audience that you can watch my films and you can search me in Google, and then you can find my contact and you can contact me, and I can personally send you my film link and anything like that. So I hope you like my films, and I'll be making such again promising films for you. Thank you once again, Ashraf, for inviting me on such a wonderful platform.
Thank you all for listening. Please visit allindiansmatter.in, that's ALLINDIANSMATTER.in, for more columns and audio podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at Ashraf Engineer, that's ASHRAFENGINEER, and All Indians Count, that's ALLINDIANSCOUNT. Search for the All Indians Matter page on Facebook. On Instagram, the handle is All Indians Matter. Email me at editor@allindiansmatter.in. Catch you again soon.